Hi. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on my videos about the Tornado and the Princess Sally figure, and I've even got a bunch of requests on making more videos about customizing action figures. This is a happy coincidence because some people on DeviantArt have actually commissioned me to make figures for them. So I'm going to show the making of their figures and make everybody happy. Now first, let's see a picture of the character that I'm going to be making. Alright, so Slaying the Demonic Saber, a creation of Saber the Hedgehog from DeviantArt. Now what will I be using to make this figure? Well, first, I got my clay. This is a Sculpey Bacon Bend. It's a polymer-based clay, which I really like for customizing action figures because it's easy to blend and make new colors out of. It hardens to a rubber consistency that's a lot more durable and less brittle than other kinds of Sculpey. And it has the same texture and feel as action figure plastic. So when it's made, it can be a seamless transition. I also have to use some paint. I use this stuff. It's Anita's all-purpose acrylic craft paint. It's just a basic acrylic paint. It can also be easily mixed and blended to make new colors. And it paints with a nice even coat. Plus, they only cost $1 per tube. I tried using an enamel-based paint before, but the tube cost $2 and the bottle was about the size of this thing's cap. So, in economic and practical terms, acrylics are the way to go. But when you paint acrylics on plastic, they tend to scratch and peel because they are meant to work on paper and wood. That's why I use a sealant. This is a matte type sealant. You spray it on top of the paint and it hardens into a thin shell of plastic that prevents the paint from ever peeling. It also has the advantage of returning to the figure the gloss and the feel that covering it with clay and paint could take away. Of course, I wouldn't be able to do anything if I didn't have a base figure itself. That's why I got a Shadow the Hedgehog figure. This is just your basic 3-inch figure from Toys R Us. And I think this is a good time as any to show off my deboxing technique. See, since these action figures have the bubble on a card style packaging, a lot of people think that you have to choose between mint in box or destroying the packaging to get the figure out. I found a great compromise. I cut a little doorway into the bottom of the package with a pair of scissors, which I can then reach in and pluck the figure out. The card is left undamaged, and I can put the figure back in there for display if I wanted to. Now let's look at Shadow. What am I going to have to do? Well, the body almost requires no work, just a little bit of minor repainting. Most of the work for this figure is going to go into the head. I'm just going to have to pluck that thing off, and I'm going to extend the spines a bit, and probably the most labor-intensive part, making the extra spines in the back and the pot leaf. I call it the pot leaf because it's what Silver the Hedgehog has. Those funny spines in his forehead with the 5 points. I always, I'm not sure how many people do it. I've seen jokes in comics about Silver painting that thing green. It's funny. The pot leaf is what I call it. I wanted to get a Silver the Hedgehog so I could pluck his head off, stick it on Shadow's body, and then just make the back spines and stuff. But Silver's very hard to find in stores. And no, I'm not going to take this one apart because it's mine. I only have one, and it's mine. So, I'm going to have to fabricate it myself. swear this has never happened to me before. This is the first time this has ever happened. Every time I need to make a custom, I had to pluck off certain parts. In this case, it was the head. Sometimes I take the thing completely apart. I've always been able to take these figures apart and put them back together again. This time, for the first time, it broke. Here's Shadow's body. It's supposed to have a neck stump where I would be able to reattach the head. Unfortunately, the stupid thing tore off. I swear, I've customized. See, I made a Mephiles, I made Aquaman the Hedgehog. I made 2 other custom figures using Shadow before. I've never had this problem. However, I think I can still work with it. The neck is still in there, and I can put it back on the body. So, this is what you want to keep your crazy glue for. I think I might be able to fix it in post by simply reattaching the head to the body with a little crazy glue. If I'm lucky, it might still be able to turn. Of course, given Slane's unique spine pattern, I was thinking that it was going to limit the head's mobility anyway, but it would still be nice to have some, you know? So I'm going to continue the project, and hopefully when Slane's complete, the head will still move. If not, it should still look pretty cool. That should compensate. This part's kind of boring. Doesn't really translate very well to video. Okay, so it's the next day. I painted the thing, sprayed it with the sealant, let it dry overnight. As you saw from the picture, it's now its new colors. Now this body was a pretty simple job, didn't require any additional sculpting. But the head is going to require quite a lot of sculpting. Now there's a thing that you should know about bacon bend clay. And that is, when you make really small things and boil cure rather than bake cure, it tends to be a little brittle. But there's a way that you can increase the strength of what you make and simultaneously save your expensive clay material. That's by making a core out of aluminum foil. This pack of clay costs 15 bucks. This roll of foil, about $1. So you take out the foil and you bunch it up into the shape that you want, and then you only need to use a much smaller quantity of clay. So it's win-win. You use less material, and the thing that you make is stronger. Hey, I'm about halfway done with the head. As you can see, I was able to make the 5-pointed pot leaf thing on the forehead. I used tails as bangs, because this figure has bangs. And if I made them out of clay, I knew they'd be too fragile, so I just used tails because they'd be more durable. And I made the little sideburn spines, which I'm pretty sure are Knuckles inspired. I still have to make the back spines, but the thing is now, I can't exactly turn the figure over to work on the back without mushing up the front. So I'm going to cure this half, and I'm going to do it in a way that's not described on the packaging. You see, normally the way you do this is you stick it in the oven, but you can't risk putting this in the oven because it might melt the plastic that the figure is made out of. You don't want that. Instead, what you do is you get a pot of water, and you bring it to a boil. Make sure you bring it to a full boil because that gets rid of all the gases and stuff that are dissolved inside of it, which, if allowed to settle on the clay, could make bubbles in the clay as it cures, resulting in a pitted, rough look. So you bring it to a full boil, and then when it boils, you lower the heat so that it goes down to a simmer. Then you take something like this. This is a potato masher, I believe. You set what you're going to cure on top of it, and you just kind of dip it in and out of the water until it hardens. This method cures it in actually less than 5 minutes. You don't want to try and make something too big like this, though, because it does tend to get a little bit more brittle. But at this small scale, it's pretty much the same. So it's still good. Alright. Now I'm not going to... Again, this process takes a lot of time, and it would be kind of boring on video. So, yeah, let's just skip ahead to me showing you the finished product. Well, here it is. The completed Slain action figure. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's real tiny and real black, but I'll show some close-up pictures of it in a sec. Anyway, look, this is the stand. This is a figure that can stand on its own, which is actually kind of rare in the Sonic line, especially when I have like these long spines out to the back. I was afraid that would make him flop right over. But nope. He's done, and I think that this is pretty badass. This is one of my favorite customs because it just looks so cool. Alright, I'm just gushing about my own work. Alright, close-up shot.